Sup YouTube? Just give me a second. Gavin Reshaw presents. Be back at it again. This week is going to be a busy week for me. August 26th from 12 to 3 I'll be at Southern University. Southern University's library. I'm going to give a presentation on the book as well. Come on out and see me. I'm also going to be down in New Orleans Community Book Center on Bayou Road from 11 to 1 or 11 to 2. Come within that time frame. I should be there. As well as, I'll send out invitations, as well as on that same day, Barnes & Noble in Harvey, Louisiana is the next book signing. So I hope to see y'all there. Getting into it, I just finished watching, I saw bits and pieces of it. BET did a documentary on 5 years after Katrina, and it's pretty much, which was a good documentary, and surprisingly on BET. We know how BET is with black people, but well, I can say for me, I don't know, can't speak for everybody. I will give BET's credit on that documentary. I actually, a lot of people don't know this, but I was actually asked to do, I shouldn't say it. I won't say it. But I want to get into the documentary. It was pretty good, but it spells the same thing I was saying, except I felt something was left off there. I gotta check it again. No one has really in the media talked about New Orleans East and the reopening of Methodist Hospital, and also of Eastland Hospital that was right next to Methodist, as well as the surgical centers that were out there, the doctor's office buildings. Those have not been rebuilt, and there's a plan. There's a conspiracy, whether people want to believe it or not, to shrink the city. There was one when Joseph Canizero made comments, as well as the Urban Land Institute, to actually get rid of the lower Ninth Ward and New Orleans East and leave that out to dry. Yet, on their plan, I don't think they ever mentioned leaving out St. Bernard Parish, which is mostly a white neighborhood. And this is all documented in Chapter 6 and Chapter 4 of my book of how this was a big land grab. Another gentleman's book, or another gentleman you should try and check out, is Dr. Robert E. Bullard. He's a professor of environmental justice at Clark Atlanta University. He came to Southern back in '06 when I was a student there, and he said unequivocally what's going on in New Orleans is a land grab and it's ethnic cleansing. Now, Dr. Bullard, we never discussed anything about the levees or whether they were blown up, but it's evident that even if they weren't blown up, let's say for the sake of argument they weren't, there's some type of plan afoot. There had to be something from the beginning for them to act as quickly and, well, for them to act as slowly and deliberately as they did in the immediate response after Katrina and during Katrina. What I present to you, this is Louisiana Weekly, and I want to read the questions off to you that was proposed by the editor, Edmund Lewis. Questions for Katrina, and I want to read this. As we approach the 5th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina and try to move beyond the recent Gulf oil spill, it is important that we continue to ask questions about the way we do things in Louisiana and what our decisions and priorities say about us. In that spirit, here are some of the questions on the minds of many who call this city and state home. Why aren't any of our local, state, and federal elected officials talking about finding a way to bring the tens of thousands of displaced residents who are still living in exile across the nation home? Why was it more important for the city to build a dog park in City Park before opening all the city's NORD swimming pools, NORD swimming pools? While the new mixed-income homes that have replaced public housing developments have gotten some rave reviews from people who have never lived here, why are those who have been able to return to those housing projects and those who can't afford the still high cost of rent across the city supposed to live? How are they supposed to live? While the city has shown the ability to tear down housing projects and neighborhood schools, Why can't they tear down the tens of thousands of blighted homes across New Orleans, as well as the systemic racism that continues to poison the lives of so many who call the city home? With regards to making decisions about neighborhoods where poor and working class residents live, how much has really changed since the powers that be decided to run the I-10 overpass along Claiborne Avenue? How much input did those who decided that it was now time to do away with the I-10 overpass along Claiborne Avenue seek from the people who live in the neighborhood and those who have created newer traditions like Mardi Gras under the bridge? Doesn't it seem like it gets harder and harder to find political candidates who possess intelligence, wisdom, maturity, and a knowledge of the people who made their runs for political office possible? Why is it that the lower Ninth Ward and eastern New Orleans, two of the hardest hit areas of the city, have been given so little help from the city and state to bounce back when other areas are getting fancy streetlights, immaculate sidewalks, and bike paths? Why didn't the black film director Spike Lee, who directed both When the Levees Broke and If God Is Willing and The Creek Don't Rise, devote a single minute to the plight of the black press or interview a single person who writes for the black press in Hurricane Katrina ravaged New Orleans since his two documentaries lasted a total of 8 hours? While 100 projects in 100 days are certainly worth celebrating and commending, when are we finally going to get decent potholes, free streets in residential areas? Why are the same insurance companies that cheated Katrina survivors out of hundreds of millions of dollars still allowed to do the business in Louisiana? How many people were surprised by the recent decision by a federal court that said the Road Home program formula for awarding grants discriminates against black homeowners? The question is, ladies and gentlemen, the answer to those questions, ladies and gentlemen, is conspiracy. It's conspiracy. Now, we can sit here and play all we want, but the fact of the matter is, this was Louisiana Weekly from August 23rd through August 29th. The fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, this is a country that was able to go to war within a matter of minutes under President Bush when he wanted to dethrone Saddam Hussein, which a country that never did us nothing, never attacked us, and he was able to do that. And that 5 years after one of the most devastating natural disasters, so they say, one of the more of the most man-made fuck-ups, nothing's been done. Guys, I had to vent after I read this. Please support the black press like Louisiana Weekly, Tribune, Data Weekly, Southern Digest, the weekly press here in Baton Rouge. I'll see y'all again on Saturday and Thursday, hopefully. I know this was a rough one, but I needed to say all of it. And I know for a fact, and I will say it, that this was, and I know this for a fact, like many other people who are scared to say it, what happened in New Orleans was a conspiracy. It was a conspiracy, and there's still a conspiracy to take away the land of blacks, to take away their political power. And part of the reason why I did this book, ladies and gentlemen, is that I don't want anybody else's family or friends to go through what I had to go through and what others have had to go through. And this was deliberate. This was deliberately done. Believe me or not, it's the truth. Thank y'all once again. I hope you all have a good night. I'll see you this week. One love. God bless.